The silvery touch of fortune is too often gilt with betrayal. The meddling mouth of extravagance swallows every desire and eats the heart of honesty with pickled pride. The imposury of position is petty and ends as it should commence, with stirring strife. But conversion of feminine opinions tries the touchy temper of opposition and too seldom terminates victoriously. Great mercy! Only another week and I shall almost cease to be a free thinker. Just 7 days more, and what? I shall openly have to confess to the world an untruth. Would there be any means of flight from the dangerous dragon that haunts me night and day? Could anything possible be done to save myself from false alliance? Too late! Too late! Only 7 days, and this beautiful boudoir shall own me no more, with its walls of purest white and gilded borders. Just 7 days, and I shall be fettered with chains of dragging dislike and disappointment. Only 7 days, and thus shall end my cherished hopes, my girlish pride, my most ardent wish, but alas, not my love. 7 days more shall see my own darling Os. Suddenly Irene was aroused by the ringing of the breakfast bell. Before she got time to finish the sentence that troubled her weary brain for months before. Dressing herself with frantic expertness, she dashed down the winding staircase with an alacrity better imagined than described, and rushing into the breakfast room where Lord and Lady Dilworth eagerly awaited her, presented the outward mocking appearance of being the happiest of mortals. Her beloved benefactors, who had been the prime movers in the matter of matrimony, saw plainly a saddened look about the lovely face, which Irene tried hard to suppress, and asking why it appeared at this gay time, was answered evasively. Indeed, Lord and Lady Dilworth were wholly ignorant of the present state of affairs, nor did Irene reveal at any time to Lady Dilworth her great hatred for Sir John, or her maddened desire to become the wife of a poor tutor. Had she only taken into her confidence her whose wise counsel and motherly example were at all times a prompt step to decision, or had she only hinted to Lady Dilworth her manifest inability to return Sir John's great affection, matters would probably have reached another climax. But owing to the present precarious position in which Lord and Lady Dilworth stood, and as yet unknown to both Irene and other most intimate acquaintances, great was Lady Dilworth's desire to see Irene permanently settled, knowing as she did that ere the sun of another August day would flash its shimmering rays against the crystal strays of Dilworth Castle, she would be beyond easy access to Irene, either in time of rejoicing or sorrowing. Preparations were at last almost completed for such an auspicious event. Invitations were issued numerously for the reception to be held at Dilworth Castle after Irene's marriage, but sparingly during the ceremony, all of which were mostly accepted. Costly, multiplying, and varied were the gifts received by Irene, enough to make a princess stare with startling bewilderment. Amongst the many, none came from Irene's tutor, Oscar Otwell, and although he was the first to whom Lady Dilworth addressed an invitation, still there was no reply, much to the annoyance and astonishment of hostess on the one hand, and knowledge of Irene on the other, as verily it was not unknown to Irene that absolute indifference to facts, seemingly of domestic importance, was a positive point in Oscar, and never better exemplified than in the present existing state of affairs, which, sickly as it proved to Irene, was deadly so to Oscar. But future facts had to be solved, which undoubtedly would be treated with more comparative reverence than heretofore by him who suffered severely, yea, acutely, from the blow struck him on the eve of aspiration and achievement. Love, alas, was smitten with the sword of indifference, dieth soon, but one struck on the tunneled cheek of secrecy with the hand of pity there leaves a scar of indelible intolerance, until wiped out forever with the curative balsam of battled freedom. Sir John and Irene met in Dilworth Castle for the last time on the morning of the 3rd day of August, being the day set apart for the celebration of their marriage. It commenced with the ringing of the village bells. The sun shone forth in all his universal glory. Emblems of the approaching festivity did not fail to appear on the housetops of the humblest village peasant. Gladness reigned throughout the household, and all hearts, save two, rejoiced with unabated activity. It was a morning never to be forgotten by Lord and Lady Dilworth, who on that day would be robbed of the treasure held firm and fast by them for the lengthened period of 9 years, and which they yielded up with hearts of sorrow, not because of the change in which Irene should have taken deep interest, but on account of the burthen of trouble which loaded them with leaden weights, of which they could not possibly free themselves. The intense excitement that for weeks before had found such refuge within their cherished and much-loved home had not long now to live. It would die on the doorstep of apparent bereavement, never more to appear within Dilworth Castle under similar circumstances. They knew well that the gnawing jaws of poverty, which for years had failed to expose their grinding power, had reached the last and only bite of sudden termination, and thereby stamped their marks of melancholy so impressively upon the noble brows of the worthy owners of Dilworth Castle that time could never blot them from observation. As before stated, few were those invited to be present at the wedding ceremony, which was to take place about 12 o'clock noon. Sir John arrived at the castle shortly before that time, looking charming indeed, whilst Irene, though departing from the rules laid down by Lady Dilworth, demanded from all present remarks bordering on similarity. She looked nervously pale but queenly, and mastered thoroughly the exposure of the painful agony through which she was passing, knowing as she did and fully believed that all is not gold that glitters. It may interest some to know that Irene silently and secretly resolved not to array herself in white. She was reconciled that neither the marriage robe of purity nor the too-beaming wedding face was to appear before such devout and reverential church dignitaries as the Bishop of Bare Legs and Canon Foot, with highly impressed and open falsehood as that practiced by her in the absence of labouring under such a solemn vow. What must have been the breathless surprise of Lady Dilworth chiefly, and those present also, who only the evening previous had been pouring such praises over the magnificent Duchess' satin gown, which eligible Parisian dressmakers pronounced their chief production of the season, when Irene appeared arrayed in an Irish poplin of the darkest visible shade of green, without either train or flower of distinction, not even a speck of ribbon or border of lace, and no ornament, only the valued necklet which graced her pearly throat when first Sir John was tempted with her enhancing beauty to bestow upon her his choice collection of love's purest fragrance, which should cast the sweetest scent of mutual relationship throughout the dazzling apartments of the mansion she was about to grace. So thunderstruck and grievously horrified did Lady Dilworth seem at the vague departure of Irene from her altars that she dare not trust herself to offer her the first motherly embrace. Irene, perceiving the great embarrassment of her beloved Lady Dilworth, glided across the room, and sitting down to the right of her, upon whom she had that day flung, in the face of devotion, the last dregs of defiance, begged to offer an apology for such unruly conduct, and added that all would be revealed at a future date when least expected. In the very room where Sir John was first puzzled concerning the beautiful portrait, was he now made the recipient of the original. After the important ceremony was performed, and the register signed, Sir John and Lady Dunfern, when the usual congratulations were ended, left by the 1 o'clock train en route for the continent. Thus were joined two hearts of widely different beats. One of intense love, which hearsay never could shake, the other of dire dislike, which reason could never alter. Born under a lucky star, was the whispered echo throughout the distinguished guests who sat down to breakfast after the junction of opposites. Yea, this was a remark of truth visibly, and might have kept good during the remainder of their lives had not the tuitional click of bygone attachment kept moving with measured pace, until stopped after months, or it may be small years, of constant swinging. Did Lady Dunfern ever dream that her apology for disobedience to Lady Dilworth's orders in not arraying herself in the garb of glistening glory could ever be accepted even by the kind and loving Lady Dilworth? Did she imagine for a moment that she, to whom she owed anything but disobedience, even in its simplest form, should be wrested from her arms of companionship ere to return to Dunfern Mansion? Did the thought ever flash through her mind that never again would she be able to pour into the ear of her trusted helper the secrets of the heart of deception, which for the past 7 months had raged so furiously inside her?
Diarrhea is like a storm raging inside you.
Better leave her to the freedom of a will that ere long would sink the ship of opulence in the sea of penury, and wring from her the words, "Leave me now, deceptive demon of deluded mockery. Lack no more round the veil of vanity like a vindictive viper. Strike the lyre of living deception to the strains of dull deadness, despair, and doubt, and bury on the brink of benevolence every false vow, every unkind thought, every trifle of selfishness and scathing dislike, occasioned by treachery in its mildest form."
I wonder how this story about people making terrible decisions is going to go. I wonder if there will be terrible consequences to all the terrible decisions they make. I wonder if I will be expected to show any sympathy for these goddamn morons. It's like watching the state of American politics. Anyway, huge thank you to all of the incredible people whose names you see up here, particularly Andre D, Break System BSE, Michael Fattori, Zachary Snowden-Smith, and Xana Zira. If you want to see your own name up here, it's as little as $1 a month. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and thanks for being you.